I read a statistic this morning from, I think, the official national statistics of 2024 to 2025, the income and the spending of the UK. The income was 1.15 trillion and the spending was 1.3 trillion. If that was any business, if that was your business, our small business, you would be out of business, because you can't run something when the income is lower than the spending. And all these people are meant to be the top professionals in their jobs, in politics. They're meant to be the best of the best, you would think. And how is no one looking around and saying, listen, we got to sort that out? We've got no chance if we're not making money. And I think with a lot of things in politics, we're going too far one way and too far the other way. Why the fuck aren't we meeting in the middle? We're talking about this side wants no immigration. This side wants no illegal immigration or no immigration. And this side isn't fussed. Let's save everyone. Let's help everyone. And it's like, that's not the argument here. Why are we not meeting in the middle? Why are we not picking a number and saying, listen, this is how many people we can take in financially. Let's take the emotion out of it and help as much as we can. And where the emotion needs to come into play is by accounting, is by saying, right, let's sacrifice here. Let's all come to an agreement to sacrifice here, so our country's still in a profit. So we're not in debt, we're not losing money. Because if you're losing money, you can't cope. And that's, I think, what we're seeing. Well, why haven't we got a number? Why we're arguing about there's too many coming in, too many immigrants coming in. And this side's arguing, saying we need immigration, saying it's not fair, you got asylum seekers, you got to take them in. And I think both sides are right, but they're too much of an extreme, and that's why we need to be in the middle. We need to have a number and be arguing about the number. We're saying we need to let more people in, or we're letting too many people in. Let's reduce that number. But the people that are arguing that we're letting too many people in, and the people that are arguing saying we're not letting enough in, it's irrelevant if we're hitting that number. And I think surely it comes to numbers. And if the numbers are working for everything, then things are working and you're stable. Thanks for watching. Just want to say, I do the best bits of each video on my other social medias, TikTok, Instagram, Shorts. I even put it on Spotify. You don't manage to finish, you just want to listen. But I also just want to say, there's not a lot of editing. There's not a lot of grabbing your attention in these videos. I see my value in the words that I'm speaking, not in the editing. So if you have a little bit of patience, stick with it and you'll enjoy. But yeah, thanks for watching. So I'm going to give a pretense for this video that I know absolutely nothing what I'm talking about, and these are just ideas I'm chucking out there. And if anyone else knows more than me, feel free to share it. Feel free to expose me to people to listen to, channels to follow, things to research, to get more of an idea of what, why I might be wrong, why I might be right, why I might be well off and have no idea what I'm talking about. But yeah, leave your opinions in the comments and whatnot. This isn't my forte, and I hate talking about politics. It's not what I'm into, but I can't help comment on it when it's all I'm seeing. When I'm seeing these Tommy Robinson's, I won't call them protests, but events. When I'm seeing these people argue in Parliament, when I see we're talking about voting, you've got Reform, Labour, Green parties, you've got all these things going on, and I'm seeing it. And like I said, I don't have any interest in politics. It bores the fuck out of me. But I can't help but look around and see that whatever the fuck is happening now can't be the way. It doesn't seem right. The way we're running the country doesn't seem right. And I could be well off, could have no idea what I'm talking about. But I'm going to talk about why I don't vote ever with anything. And I don't think I'll ever vote with anything, because I don't think the system is the right system. I was talking about the other day with someone, but name a prime minister you would have back in that we're all agree on. We all go, you know what? He had a fucking great time. Let's get him back in. I don't think there is one. And I also think when it comes to voting for a new prime minister, I feel like we settle. I feel like we look and we go, I want him in because I don't want him in. It's not I want him in because I want him in. And I think that's what happened in America. I think people said, I want Trump in because I don't want Harris in. And I don't think that's the right system if we're putting people in because we don't want someone who's worse in. Because we're never satisfied when these people get into power. You can't believe a word they're saying when they're saying it. I mean, we see that with Keir Starmer. He directly lies. Whether it is a genuine mistake that he's made and not realised the situation, don't say it. If you haven't got the information, if you haven't got the facts, don't say it. You can't get away with it in life. We can't get away with it in our life to be lying like that or to be making those sort of mistakes. And I just think we're not getting the options that we want. It's not, I don't think it's close. I think if we drop our egos and, we drop our loyalties to a party and we look at the people in the party, not the party name, and we say, do we actually stand for what they do over time and what they say? And can we believe them? And if we can, scrap them all, get new people in. And we were saying the other day that the people they all put in charge don't have a clue what they're doing, aren't experts in the field. So you look at your own businesses, your jobs, who employs you. You shouldn't be putting people in power, in high positions that don't know what they're talking about. And you see it day to day. When that happens, it's frustrating, and you see that it doesn't work. You see that when they put someone in a management position that has no idea what they're doing, everything crumbles, everything falls. It doesn't work. So why do we get people they put health secretaries in place and they never worked in the NHS? What should happen, and I could be wrong here, but shouldn't the people who are at the top of the NHS, who have worked their way up, who have worked hard, shouldn't they be promoted into a health secretary role? Why is that word so hard? Shouldn't they be promoted up there? And same with the military of defence. Shouldn't it be someone who served maybe, or been around that, who has that knowledge to know what's going on? Because the country is that fucking big. There's no chance you know what you're doing if you're not directly related to it. I mean, we know, and everyone else might know people that have worked with government bodies, and you know how poorly run they are. Each person that works for them knows where the problems are, but the people at the top are so far away from reality that's why they don't know how to fix it. When we talk about money, we talk about how much is actually wasted because, one, people are putting money in their own pocket that don't deserve it, We're putting people in those powerful positions that are going for money, that want the money, and it's wrong. It should be people who know where things need improving, who want to share. That's what a real leader is. A real leader isn't taking things for themselves, they're spreading it around in a team. And again, these people that are in power, in leadership positions, how much training have they had in how to be a leader? And the example I think of it is, you look at someone like Jocko Willink, who obviously is American, but he has a business where he's teaching people how to be leaders. And it's not what you think it is. It's not that someone's in charge and someone is dominating everyone else. It's essentially being a team. And you don't see that with the country. You don't see us being a team in these sectors. And obviously you're not going to make everyone happy, I understand that. But we all have this idea that they're selfish, that they're putting their own money in the pocket. I read a statistic this morning from, I think, the official national statistics of 2024 to 2025, the income and the spending of the UK. The income was 1.15 trillion and the spending was 1.3 trillion. If that was any business, if that was your business, our small business, you would be out of business, because you can't run something when the income is lower than the spending. And all these people are meant to be the top professionals in their jobs, in politics. They're meant to be the best of the best, you would think. And how is no one looking around and saying, listen, we got to sort that out? We've got no chance if we're not making money. And I think with a lot of things in politics, we're going too far one way and too far the other way. Why the fuck aren't we meeting in the middle? We're talking about this side wants no immigration. This side wants no illegal immigration or no immigration. And this side isn't fussed. Let's save everyone. Let's help everyone. And it's like, that's not the argument here. Why are we not meeting in the middle? Why are we not picking a number and saying, listen, this is how many people we can take in financially. Let's take the emotion out of it and help as much as we can. And where the emotion needs to come into play is by accounting, is by saying, right, let's sacrifice here. Let's all come to an agreement to sacrifice here, so our country's still in a profit. So we're not in debt. We're not losing money. Because if you're losing money, you can't cope. And that's, I think, what we're seeing. Well, why haven't we got a number? Why we're arguing about there's too many coming in, too many immigrants coming in. And this side's arguing, saying we need immigration, saying it's not fair. You got asylum seekers. You got to take them in. And I think both sides are right. But they're too much of an extreme, and that's why we need to be in the middle. We need to have a number and be arguing about the number. We're saying we need to let more people in, or we're letting too many people in. Let's reduce that number. But the people that are arguing that we're letting too many people in, and the people that are arguing saying we're not letting enough in, it's irrelevant if we're hitting that number. And I think surely it comes to numbers. And if the numbers are working for everything, then things are working and you're stable. And then we can start talking about ideas of helping other people more. You talk about ideas of where do we distribute the money? Because and who do we tax? How, you know what I mean? You've got people that are saying tax the rich and the poor are given money. And we know that doesn't work. You can't just give people money. They need an incentive to do something, to be something, to have some worth. And the rich, you tax them too much and they'll just fuck off. They'll stop working. They'll earn a certain amount and you won't get more tax, or they'll fuck off to another country, to a tax haven, and they'll do all these dodgy accounting things. And at the end of the day, you see the figures don't fucking change. But think about it. 1.15 trillion. I mean, it's an estimate, but it's still got to be close. That's how much we all pay in taxes. The rich, the middle class, the poor. That's how much the government bring in from an official statistic website for the nation. So if I'm wrong, they're wrong, and some, you know what I mean? But it's still 1.15 trillion. You can't even fathom it. I think that's 1,000 billions. And if you go into millions and billions and trillions, you can't relate. You can't relate. All of us, if we all had 50 grand, 100 grand a year, we'd be saying our lives fucking sorted. Most of us are happy on 30 grand. 40 grand we're living a very good life. Or a happy life. We're on our way. We always want more, don't get me wrong. And you got people suffering who can't work, who want to work. Not these people that can work and don't want to work. That's an attitude problem. That's a health problem as well. But we're talking about trillions. We can't even fathom, because our day to day, we don't spend anywhere near. We don't have any idea, or we're not surrounded by that much money that we even know what those numbers mean. We're talking about, we need to tax. We need to bring in more money through tax. What are you talking about? Who are you kidding? There's 70 million people, again estimate, in the UK. 70 million. And we're bringing in an income of 1.15 trillion. Something isn't fucking working, and we're spending 1.3 trillion, sorry. And it's like, to every person, you can be thick as fuck and understand those numbers aren't going to work. But is it about taxing the rich, or taxing the middle class, taxing the poor, when you're bringing in such a high amount? It's like we all know the money isn't being spent properly. And that's where the issue is. And I think that's where this divide takes us and distracts us and sends us down these rabbit holes that we start arguing about. We need to tax each other more. Him over there needs to, but we're human. We'll find a way out of it. Let's just accept there's going to be a range. Whoever's in power, there's going to be a range, whether it's 1 trillion or 1.5 trillion or 1.3 trillion, should I say. Can't just start chucking trillions out there like it's nothing. But let's say there's always going to be a range. Our spending, no matter what, has to be below 1 trillion. Whatever party gets in, we might want more money. For these people to fill their own pockets, fine. If the country is running smoothly and people are happy, put as much money in your own pocket as you want, I think. But we know the spending isn't realistic. I know through work, through being exposed to different people who know what's going on, you've got companies who get set budgets, and if you don't spend that budget, you get the money taken off you for the next year. I know that that's a fact, and that's how things work. So the budgets aren't set of what are needed. They're set on what people want. And our own business, and people I know's business, know that the people they're dealing with are spending the money inefficiently, are spending it in a wrong way. Because if they don't spend the money, they don't get the money. And they can spend it on ridiculous things that aren't needed. And there's no management, and it's not their fault, because we would all do the same thing. If that was our personal earnings and we got, let's say, 100,000 a year, but if we didn't spend it, whatever we didn't spend is now, that's like now our budget, we would all fucking rinse everything. We would buy things we didn't need. So it's a system problem. It's a management problem. How things are managed is wrong. No one's looking into the details of the money. And why are we not? We're just saying, let's tax people more. Because that's easy. We can just add it. Because no one can do anything about it, really. We can complain and we can not put them in power. But the next people are just going to make another side suffer. There's no middle ground anymore. We're fighting against each other. We're having massive protests and having these ideas attached to them. Having these groups, and the people in charge of those groups might not be the people we want either. But we have to follow that idea because the idea is right. The representation across everything is incorrect. We're not stable. And I think this is why I don't vote. And it might be, people will say, well, nothing's going to change if we all do what you do, if we don't vote. But maybe it will. Maybe there needs to be an option of let's fucking change what's going on. Let's start discussing it. I always think, and again, I could be out my depth here. It might not work this, and there might be people out there that could tell me why. But why can't we just vote on things? Is that not democracy? Where we vote on what we want. Why can't we vote on how many immigrants we come in and the majority is what we get because that's what we all want? Why can't we vote on where our money goes, where these trillions go? Why can't we have a say? Because if democracy works, surely that's the best way. I don't know, I could be wrong. Could be not possible. I mean, what do we have 100 votes every month or something like that? Is there too many? And then you look at the system and you say, well, why can't you do that? If we reduce it and we was in a small fucking village, we'd be voting on every matter. We have a say in every matter. So is it not scalable? Something isn't right. And I think the more we avoid that, the quicker this ship is about to sink. And it's like, I'm just a normal fucking geezer. I'm not the smartest guy. Well, I'm not the smartest guy when it comes to politics. This isn't something I'm involved in day to day. So the people that are, isn't this your job? Isn't this your responsibility to come up with a solution? You've got geniuses around the UK that can figure these out, can debate about these things, and let's come to a fucking answer of what the fuck we need to be doing. And the general public say, that makes sense to us. Let's not fucking lie. Let's come out with the facts. Let's not have these news and the media change and spin different angles to create chaos. Let's look at the numbers. And if the numbers are adding up, well, something's fucking wrong. That's my point. And we all know something's fucking wrong because every time someone comes into power, it's the same story. They don't fulfill the promises. They weren't good. We won't have them back. Get them out. The next party are the saviors. The next big idea, the next big protest is the thing. But we don't have someone that stands out and we say, yeah, if we could have them back, the country would be saved. And I know it's not just one person, it's a party. But this person represents how that party functions. And another reason I don't vote, I mean, it's a conspiracy. I do just think the elites won't want you to have people in power that you want. They don't want you to have the life that you want, because I'm only saying this from a standpoint of humans. When someone gets in power, they want to stay in power. So the person in power, the Prime Minister, let's say, only has a limited amount of time. There's got to be someone over this period of time that said, that's not enough for me. I need more. And for me, you would keep yourself in power. If you're not the front man, you're the man running it behind the scenes. And it's a conspiracy. It is a conspiracy, but to me, it feels like logic, because people who get power don't want to let go of power. So voting, I don't feel like would change anything, because it hasn't changed anything. We're always unhappy with the situation. And we also all feel like we've not actually got any control of what's going on. We don't have any influence over our government, over our day-to-day lives. We just struggle. We turn up to work and we earn what we earn. We get taxed what we tax. I don't even look at my payslip to see what I get taxed, because I don't want to know, because I can't do anything about it. And maybe if I could vote and say, let's change the system, I'd probably vote for that. But I know when I go to a voting, and the people I'm voting for, to me, don't seem like anyone I want to vote for, because the system, you can't rely on the system. You can't rely on, once they get in power, they can do what they've said, because it's too fucking big. And I think it's overcomplicated. Maybe it is complicated. I mean, you're dealing with 70 million people in the UK, and you're dealing with trillions of pounds. But you've got the greatest minds working on this, and this is the world we're living in. This is our country we're living in. No one seems to be happy. You speak to anyone and everyone has a complaint. No one says, well, it's stable, it could be better, they could do this, they could do that. But at the end of the day, our day-to-day lives, they're not bad if we look in the respects of things. But every argument is just an exaggeration. If you don't want immigrants in, you're a racist. I think I heard from this march, this Tommy Robinson one, they're talking about removing Islam from the country. It's such an extreme. It's not possible. It's not going to be possible to do that. But it's such an extreme. And they're fighting another extreme, and then they're fighting back with an extreme. You've just got both sides not making sense and not meeting in the middle, because, like I said, there's 70 million people. And you've got to make every person happy. And you're not going to by being on the extremes. You look at your relationships, you look at your households, your jobs. There's always got to be compromise. No one gets what they want. But you can have a compromise, you can make a deal, and you say, right, we'll shake hands on this, and this will do. And I think because it's that complicated, there's that much going on, you've got to do that. You can't sit at both extremes and have this divide. And I think that's what they're creating, that's what the media's pushing, that's what whoever the elites or what conspiracy you want to believe, I think that's what they're pushing. The more divided you are, the less you're going to solve the problem. You need to be a team. You need to have a leader that brings you together and says, listen, I know you don't want that. I know you don't want this, but let's compromise and let's figure out something where we're all happy. And I honestly believe with this system, you've not got a chance. And again, I might be talking absolute tosh, but I know other people feel this way. I know other people feel lost or have their own opinion, but we're all pushed down because we're not experts. But these experts right now that are in charge don't seem to be doing it right. Might be wrong. Whatever I say might be unrealistic. And I guess they're just thoughts. And it's to spark that debate, because without the debate, you're not working towards a solution. But yeah, Again, I don't like talking about politics because I don't know what I'm talking about. So they're all just feelings and thoughts and emotions. But to me, all that sounds like common sense to me. Sounds like the basics. Get the fucking numbers in line, for fuck's sake. Somehow figure that out. But yeah, peace.